Okay, home. You're listening to WCEG Network. We are a worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community. Log on to WCEGTalkRadio.com or you can watch us live on your smart TV, on Roku cable channel, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and now fan base Blue Sky and Twitch. Search for WCEG, subscribe on all social media platforms, and thank you for attending for the next hour. I'm Jeremy Walker with my amazing co-host on Vets 2.0, Miss Tiffany Morman. That's right. Download our free WC mobile app. Say Alexa, play WCEG Talk Radio. Listen to WCEG on any of our 12 podcast distribution platforms. And last but not least, our disclaimer. The topics and opinions are those of the show host and guests, not WCEG Media Enterprise. Thank you for your continued support and welcome everybody into 2026. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I guess you guys can tell the energy is all over the place. And again, had an amazing conversation with Tiffany at the beginning of the year, and we're about to take over the world, y'all. Tiffany, tell me how you doing. Tell
Jeremy,
me how
I'm
you doing.
so happy to be here in 2026 with you. We did go through a lot of topics, a lot of guests. I don't think we're gonna broadcast that yet about who's coming up like in the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months. But I'm excited for all of our topics that we covered a couple of weeks ago when we discussed it. And I'm also ready to hear your great news update, please, sir. Thank you, sir.
Well, not to take steal Lacy's thunder, but I'll talk about me and helmets to boots and where I'm going. But I wanted to start off this year doing something in gratitude. This show is all about helping the community grow, learning about the different things we don't know in the veteran space. But it wouldn't be possible without us starting off thanking Miss Penny Rogers, which is our producer, and Miss Vivian Greer. She's behind the background doing everything for us. And then you have our predecessors, Mr. Herman Anderson and Mr. Anthony Aiken, some Vietnam veterans that started this before and was like, hey, I like what you're doing. We want to empower everybody and so forth. So their willingness, again, makes me so excited. But at the same time, they led the way for us to get here. So I wanted to start the show off with gratitude and thank them so much. So let's give them a round of
Come
applause.
on, those Air
Yeah.
Force guys. Come on, Air Force.
So that's right. So, and speaking in that mindset and that attitude of gratitude, our guest today is my brother from another mother, Mr. Lacy Gunnoe. I'm the shark. I'm the Meg, right? That's what they call me, and he's the baby shark. So, I wanted to bring him on. So, what Lacy is first of all, he's a great man. He's probably one of the best people I've ever met on the planet. What he's doing in his life, what he's done in his career, now what he's continued doing post military is one of the things that a lot of us don't know about, but we need. And so you always hear it's New Year's. Oh man, I got this resolution, New Year's resolutions, which most of us don't even make it past February, right? To Valentine's Day. So when you think about that, it's a mindset. That's temporary. But when you look at what we need to do, and the title of the show today is New Year, New You. We want to stick with that. We want to learn to get past that first 30 days, that first 60 days. How do I change my mindset? How do I grasp a hold of this? And what community do I really need so that continuation of that mindset can be there? So if you don't mind, Tiffany, if you could read my brother's bio so we can impress the world with all of this greatness, and then we're going to start clowning from there. So it is what it is.
Okay, and I like how Jeremy just sidestepped his announcement that I tried to force him to make, but we'll come back to that later in the show then. All right, sir, Mr. Walker.
Mm-hmm.
Without further ado, please, it will be my honor to introduce our Air Force brother here, the Wellbeing Director in Veteran Programs, Mr. Lacy Gunnoe. You know, um, Lacy Gunnoe joined the team in the spring of 2023 as the Wellbeing Director for Veteran Programs. He's a retired U.S. Air Force officer, Go Blue, and he brings over 22 years of distinguished service. Throughout his career, Lacy has held diverse leadership roles, including assistant professor, operations officer and recruiting officer for Samford University's AFROTC program. Those kids need us. Thank you for that. He also served as the 106th Chief of Operations Group Standardization and Evaluations, Assistant Director of Operations, Evaluator, Instructor Pilot, and Command Pilot, flying over 4,200 flight hours in the T-37, the T-1, KC-135R, and the T-6 aircraft. Come on, brother. Deployments, right? Here we go. Here comes the good nitty-gritty part. His
Mm-hmm.
deployments include combat missions and operations Iraqi Freedom, Enduring Freedom, Inherent Resolve, and Freedom Sentinel. Lacy's connection to Camp Southern Ground began in 2018 when he served as cadre for the inaugural Warrior Week program. He later returned as a guest speaker and has remained deeply committed to the organization's mission ever since. Now he is honored to serve full-time alongside his wife, Kaylee, and their son, Rowan, who I believe is now 3. So with much gratitude, Mr. G, would you go ahead and finish what I started here with your bio? Thank you for being here, sir.
Uh, Tiffany, that was beautiful. I need you to introduce me every time I go anywhere, do anything. And it's an honor to be here with the big shark over there, the Meg,
The
and to
Meg,
join
that's
this
right.
platform that is wanting to do great things in the community. And I think it takes all of us. And so I'm so grateful to be here. And as far as the intro, all that sounds amazing. But like we said at Camp Southern Ground at Warrior Week, like so what? All that resume, all those things in the military, that's absolutely awesome. Like we love that. But what's next? What's next in your life after that? And it's the next chapter that we write can be the most important, right? And we all have
Mm-hmm.
something inside of us that doesn't get buried with the uniform on retirement or when we get out of the uniform. And it could be an adventure, it could be something brand new. And that's what we're here to do. And the most important and the most famous person on my phone is my wife. So I just want to say thank you for ending it with my wife and my son, Ro, there at the end. So that means so much. And yeah, I'm ready to get after it and jump in. And to everyone listening out there, I just appreciate you guys jumping on, take a moment out of your day, whether it's to learn something new or to amplify the message that these great individuals are seeking to amplify out there in the community. So thank you all for joining today.
So, Lacy, you see how you tried to play that off? We know you're the real Top Gun. That's what you're trying to say. I'm gonna hide that. I'm Tom Cruise undercover. I got you.
Hey, look, first of all, the new Maverick movie and Tom Cruise, like, I mean, it's inspiring, and I will say while I strive to inspire people to live their best life and all that, like, I am not a Top Gun. I'm not even a fighter pilot. Like, I flew the heavy aircraft that refuel other aircraft. So people could even say that I passed gas for almost 23 years in the Air Force. But like anything, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And I tend to look at it as I was fueling the fight. I was keeping people safe on the ground, and I was doing my smaller part in a larger mission in the Air Force. So it was an honor to do it and to be in that world. And I have so much respect for those Top Guns and all those amazing pilots out there. But you don't, most pilots love being a pilot, love, telling
Mm.
everybody they're a pilot, of course, and all those things that come with that community.
Outfits, the uniform.
I got flight suits right behind me. I got to put in the attic. And at the end of the day, yeah, and think about that. Like when the flight suit comes off and you're no longer Maverick, like what's your identity next? Which is why
Yeah.
I'm at Camp Southern Ground. It's also a reason I didn't go to Delta, American, or any of these
Mm-hmm.
high-paying pilot jobs afterwards because I was wanting to chase purpose.
Yeah.
I feel that, my job is to take from people from point A to point B, but it's not to a destination that's warm or tropical or whatever. Mine is to take them to a destination where they're doing something they love every day. They're surrounded by people that they love. Their financial well-being's in check, where they don't just pay their bills, but they're able to leave a legacy and go to the places that they want to go and spend time with their family, take care of themselves, and really and truly let them know emotionally, because our life is one big emotional experience, and
Thank
it could be the right emotions, and to expand the vocabulary that there's so much more out there to experience than happy, mad, sad. There's bliss, there's sorrow, there's highs and lows, and we can learn to be grateful for every single one of those out there if we look at it the right way. So yeah, while it'd be cool to be a Top Gun, I'm so grateful to be around that caliber and quality of people with where I've landed at Camp Southern Ground and get to execute this mission throughout the year. It's absolutely amazing.
Well, Lace, I got a question for you because before we move on to the, away from the uniform, because you have an
Okay.
amazing retirement story.
Mm.
The uniform, your retirement uniform. Can you share with us that story, brother? I mean, I thought that was beautiful, so I wanted the world to hear this one.
Yes, sir. So, with just to frame this correctly, I never realized what I was saying when I was sharing this story. And now, recently, people have been asking me about the uniform and how meaningful that story is. So, I appreciate the opportunity to share that. So I grew up in a trailer down by the river in West Virginia, right? It's kind of like my own little Eminem 8 Mile B Rabbit story. And I got to college by, a praying grandmother, the grace of God, and a few people that believed in me. And I could have lived my whole life proving people wrong out of spite, out of a negative place. But I'm so grateful for my little Elizabeth Honecker, my grandmother, and the people that I wanted to prove right. Because when you prove the right people right, that's out of a good place. That's out of
Mhm.
gratitude. That's out of strength, right? That's the good side of the force. And so through those people praying for me and pushing me forward, I got to college. Now, look, your boy in college day one, I look like Justin Timberlake and Ryan Seacrest had a baby. I was, I mean, I had blonde hair, earrings. I was a mix of Backstreet Boy and gangster DMX or something. I was having a lot of fun, but I was really trying to find out who I was. And at the moment I wrote on campus, my uncle Melvin, who was a former, he was a college dropout, went into the Marines, came back, smoked college, did great, got really smart, and joined the Air Force as an officer, right? And
Oh
so he
wow.
was a captain, soon to be major at this university that I was going to in West Virginia. He came, picked me up. We did this PT test. And long story short, I got a haircut, pulled my pants up, and all these people I thought were nerds because of my own insecurities or ignorance. I jumped in with these amazing people that had integrity, that were there to get better, to serve their country. And slowly, all those scales started to fall off my eyes, and I started to be a part of the group. Went to field training, came back, and was a leader. And one day they threw me a flight suit and said, "You're gonna be a pilot." I was I was caught off guard. This blindside. I'm like, really? And I had no idea, but all these people believed in me more than I believed in myself. And I slowly started to tack that on. So at graduation, whenever I was leaving to go be a lieutenant and go to my first base to start learning how to fly with the Air Force, my uncle, he sent me off and he set me up so well, but he gave me his service dress. And now that 362903 regulation, that AFI has not changed since the 80s, 90s when he had it. So I wore his service dress at that point throughout my entire career. And I love sharing that when Jeremy saw the pictures of me getting promoted to lieutenant colonel, one rank above him to be the highest ranking person in my family, which is a complete honor and surprise to everyone. And he's reading me the oath the same way he did when I was a lieutenant. He's reading me the oath and swearing me in as a lieutenant colonel on that bridge in my hometown with my grandmother on the front row. Is so meaningful. And all the way until retirement, June of 2024. And he's up there with me again at retirement and my family hugging me. And that uniform, which is getting a little old and worn, is hanging in this closet 8 feet behind me right here in this room. And if Rowan ever wants to don that uniform and go out, find his own adventure, it'll be there for him, or whatever uniform he wants to don, as long as it's one of character and hopefully that is meaningful. And what an honor. What an honor to not just wear that uniform, but to wear my uncle's, carry a legacy, to have my
Mhm.
grandfather's name. My grandfather's name was Lacy Rowan. That's why I named my son Rowan. And you can't spell legacy without Lacy. And I just really
Yeah.
take that to heart and try to live this life out that would honor him, honor hard work, and be bigger than myself. And that uniform definitely represents that. So it was an honor to wear it for that long.
Hey man, that's an amazing story. And don't cry if he figure out that the army is where he wants to be. I'm just saying Uncle Jeremy's gonna have,
Oh, he
Lord,
might swing it. He
you
might
know,
swing it.
I'm
Hey,
just
look,
saying, don't be mad.
look, I'm gonna lay it out so he can play it out. If he goes that direction, officer, like whatever he chooses, he's gonna be a lot smarter than I am. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for whatever he chooses, but it'll be tears of joy if he chooses a uniform for sure. But
Yeah.
We'll see. When we get there, Shark, we'll see what we do.
Okay, okay. He's still hoping. I hear that hope in the prayer, and that's the side that we're about to roll into now when it comes to Camp Southern Ground. We're always talking
Yeah,
about
yeah,
positivity, and talk to us a little bit about CSG. Tell us, a little bit about what brought you there. I know you love the mission,
yeah.
and you said it perfectly just now. Like you could be with Delta, but you're at Camp Southern Ground. I was like, hey, talk to us on that decision.
Purpose, not
Yeah.
money, right? Purpose, not money.
Yeah, well, and purpose over everything. Even in what we teach at camp, the within Warrior Week, we have career/purpose,
Mhm.
because your career and purpose, that they can actually, two things can be true and they can kind of be combined, because your purpose doesn't require a paycheck. But it would be great to take your purpose into a career and get a paycheck too, to be paid to do
Mhm.
what you love every day. But for those that are retired, that's okay too, because you still have a purpose and you can still make an amazing contribution based off how you use your strengths and all the things that we teach at Warrior Week. So, um, and comparison's the thief of joy. I could always look at different things, but when you feel called to be somewhere, when you feel called to be somewhere and called to a mission, it has zero zip code. There is no comparison because you're all in. And that's a privilege that I have of being at Camp Southern Ground with our Warrior Week team. Now, camp, this thing was a vision. And the reason it's such a special place is because it came from a special place. It came from
Mhm.
our founder, Zach Brown, from the Zach Brown Band. And he has high futuristic whenever it comes to Clifton strengths. And the story I've been told that surrounds me and is really in the DNA of camp is at the age of 14, he told his mom, because he was a camp kid and camp had deeply impacted his life. When he grows up, he's gonna build out this camp where he can continue that legacy of his own. Now, a big reason,
Mhm.
that's the reason that our buildings are wrapped in zinc. They're a 100-year build. They're LEED Platinum certified. Like all of this stuff is because it's a 100-year vision. He didn't want to just go out and create some cabins and some log cabins to do this. He wanted to create a long-term vision. So from the age of 14, this was a vision. And if you know anything about Zach Brown, he was writing Chicken Fried and all these songs before he was famous.
Yeah.
So children's camp is in his heart, veterans serving veterans, those that gave their lives so we don't have to, all those stuff in the lyrics. Like he was living this out. It was in his heart well before camp came about. Now, once camp came about, he bought the land for 11 acres, 2011, 2018, we're running programs. The CEO sat down with him and said, Zach, you got this amazing vision for an inclusion model, serving children 8 weeks out of the year. But what about the fall and the spring? We got all this amazing, the facilities and all of these resources. What are you going to do now? And he's like, man, I just want to serve veterans. Whatever that looks like, we're going to serve veterans. And so that's our founder's heart and vision with wide guardrails. So that's how
Mhm.
you see Warrior Week showing up for transitioning families. And I say families there because it's just transitioning service members. But what we do for that service member, it deeply impacts their families. When things are
Okay.
good at work, it lifts everybody up. When things are not good at work, woo, pushes everything down. And I know what that's like to push my family down in my own transition, even with a great place to land. So you can only
Mhm.
imagine when people get medically retired early, abruptly, when all these things are happening, it deeply impacts the family. But we do have family programs where we run five, now six in 2026. We're running six warrior family camps where you come in on a Friday, leave on a Sunday. Families get a hard reset. We drive home values, but parents, you get to enjoy all the meals from Collins and the executive culinary team, Zach's former chef, and you do not have to do the dishes. You get loved on.
Say that.
You connect with other families. And these other families, guess what? One commonality is they're in the military with children and they've had to do this high five lifestyle. You're gone and you're showing up and kids need this and that. And what
Mhm.
a amazing place to connect and grow and kind of reset on these values of how we want to live our life and just get restored and replenished to go back out there and live out the values that you set there. So we do run that. And again, Zach wanted to fill up fall and spring. So we have our own transition program called Warrior Week, which I run. I have the privilege of being the director, run an amazing team there for
Mhm.
Warrior Week. And we are also a host site for Camp Southern Ground, is a host site for Warrior Path, which is a Boulder
Yes.
Crest initiative. We run, I think, 16 of those. I have to look at the new calendar, at least 16 of those a year, which is incredible. And it's more of the emotional deep dive, post-traumatic growth side of the house that really gets veterans what they need. Now, there's 9 locations across the nation, 2 mobile units. We are thrilled to be one of those host sites for Warrior Path. And, um, you know, at Warrior Week, we have people that are come from a wide aperture. Whenever they're doing an intake, they're reaching out to us. There's so many things going on that it's amazing to be up at a place where it's never a no. If there's
Yeah.
something in Atlanta, I can connect them to the Shark, Warrior Alliance, all of our amazing partners. If they're not in a good place and trauma and stuck, I can get them to the Warrior Path program right there on site. And then once they complete that, they roll right into ours. Then they bring their family back. And then over the summer, Tiffany, I'm there on Fridays high-fiving kids as they're leaving camp. And I look over and I see one of our veterans picking up their kids. Bless my
Yeah.
heart. Here they go. They've been in all of our programs, and it's really transformed their lives, their
Yeah.
families. And that's really the goal, is to support those veterans in transition, whether it's Path, Warrior, Warrior Week, Warrior Family Camp, and even summer camp. So it's an amazing opportunity at camp.
Question.
Yeah, Tiffany.
Yes,
Go
ma'am.
ahead, Tiffany.
Jeremy, you're saying transitioning veterans and transitioning families. What is the I'm still in the Army, Major Mormon. And so I'm 6 months out, I'm 12 months out, or I've just gotten out. How soon can I come to Camp Southern Ground?
That's a great question, and I want to answer that, and also clarify. So, by serving the transitioning veteran, we impact their families. We're not at a place right now to be able to have their spouses. We bring families to Warrior Family Camp, but for this transition program, like what is the demographic as far as the timeline of transition?
Mhm.
Tiffany, I've learned transition. It is again, this is wide realm of what it looks like. We like to say up to 2 years prior to ETS, because before you get out, if you're a Marine and you're only in there 4 years, 2 years is barely the halfway point. You're just getting used to it.
Mhm.
Oh,
But at the end of the day, some of us have been in 20, 30, almost 40 years. I just had two
Mhm.
colonels come through this week actually, 40 years of service, some in the reserves. That's like
Yeah.
Shawshank Redemption. You're getting out and you're going back into civilian populace. Like, what do I do? It's so different because you've been institutionalized for so long, that way of thinking. Your identity is deeply affected. So I really hope those folks start to look at least 2 years out, because you kind of know when that timeline's coming. So I like to say up to 2 years prior, because someone that is doing a 4-year contract or 22 years old, 6 months
Mhm.
to a year would be great to come and visit Camp Southern Ground. But that's on the front side upstream. If you're in transition up to that critical 12 months, of transition that continues even beyond 12 months, that first 12 months out,
Mhm.
your identity struggling, there's resources, there's mental health, there's of course career
Yeah.
engagement and career identity and transferable skills. Where do I want to live? Location, inside, outside my hands, or do I want to be in front of a computer doing IT? It's overwhelming. So
Yeah.
the beautiful thing about Warrior Week is we're going to walk you through that sequentially and intentionally. We're going to look at what you're naturally gifted at through your Clifton Strengths Assessment. We're going to look at what you believe. We're going to look at your values. We're going to look at your emotions. We're going to put all this together and really decide what you don't want, and then what you want to work toward. And learn that it's not always what you do, it's how you get to do it using your strengths. And it's not
Yeah.
always what you do, it's who you do it with. Are you picking a culture? A lot of
Mhm.
times we're doing interviews, we think we're getting interviewed, but we're interviewing them. Is this a place that I want to give my life to, my time, my energy, my resources? So I
Yeah.
love peeling it back as people transition. And Tiffany, almost just under 50% of the people in the first 12 months of getting out, they quit their first job. Now
yes,
I'm
I do.
internal. Yeah, so like
Mhm.
that first job when they first get out in that first 12 months, almost half, I think it's like low 40%, they quit that first job. Now, I'm an eternal optimist. Maybe it's because they got a better job, right? Maybe it's because they learned something new, or they got a certification and they found a better opportunity. Or maybe it was because it was a dead end, or they realized that the culture was wrong. Maybe they just realized, like, this wasn't a good fit. And so what we like to do is go upstream and help them find a good fit. So in transition, that they're able to land in a place that really believes in them and uses their strengths and takes care of them, and they love what they do every day. So what I've told you is up to 2 years prior or in transition. And then here's the other piece, like up to 5 years of getting out, it's always a conversation. If we have
Mhm.
slots available and it's been like 8, 10 years because people have been struggling to find where they belong,
Yeah.
struggling to figure out how to use their skills, or just stuck, it's always a conversation with us. Now, if
Hmm.
someone here, Tiffany, I'll extend upon your question. If someone calls me and says that they're living on someone's couch and they have financial needs, they have mental health needs, it's never a no. We're just going to give you the resources that you need.
Because
You
let me
Yeah.
point this out. I just recently was hanging out with a four-star general, just
Okay.
retired. So I've been retired since 2012 from the Army. I work today, but from the Army I retired in 2012. So that's about the last year when I talked to him about it, I was at the 13-year mark. The 13-year mark is a special time in
Hmm.
veterans' lives. I want to say it was the Warrior Alliance that had something. Anyways, the 13-year mark is a very pivotal point in retired veterans' lives, and I didn't know that. But as soon as he
Hmm.
said that to me, I said, "Yes, I am having a little bit of a pivotal moment here at this 13-year mark, because what I've been doing for the last 13 years has now culminated and produced some
Hmm.
fruit." And maybe the fruit is not as sweet, or maybe it was a different fruit than I was expecting, and now I want to plant a different tree, right? So I'm wanting to know if I can come to Camp Southern Ground, and I'm 14 years retired from the Army.
Absolutely. Yeah. Campsouthernground.org. Get on the Warrior Week, apply. You can request more information. My team will be in touch 72 hours, and we'd love to get you plugged in. Uh, the, I've had a 72-year-old Marine come through,
I'm gonna
and it's
press.
because in the conversation, and he's an Atlanta guy. In the conversation, he said, "Lacey, I think he said I have like 10 more years to live based off my parents." He gave me some intimate knowledge, and he said he wanted to make his life count.
Hmm.
And, so many times in life we can drift, we can forget what we're good at, we can forget who we are. And while I will say I'm really trying to focus this program on those that are in transition, because that's also the highest rate of, things going downstream of the things we
Yes,
don't
sir.
want. That's in that first year. That's the tip of the spear. That's like tier one who we're going after. But it doesn't mean that we don't have someone that not even tier two at retirement, but like a tier three that's been out 10, 15 years and they're losing a business. They got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. They can't do the business anymore and they need a fresh start. They need
Yeah.
to reframe their strengths. They need to know how to actually take care of themselves because they're burnt out. Um, so yeah, it's always a conversation. And I will say this, when you talk to Brandon, my he runs all the intakes, he's our well-being manager. He has his number one strength is relator. All of your guardrails, all of your walls, all of your shell comes down with Brandon, and he's going to be the temperature, and he's going to know, and I trust him. He's going to say, Lacey, this person, they're coming in March. And so
Hmm.
Tiffany, apply. We'd love to see you there. And you know, the timeline, we try to have a nice target. But as you know, with anything else, we have to have life is not switches, it's more of dials. And Tiffany, when you're talking about what the fruit you've been bearing for 13 years, there's things you haven't even tapped into. You may be super creative. You may be a songwriter and you didn't even know it. So in Warrior Week, we do songwriting. And the songwriting is an amazing part of our process because of emotional well-being, expressing yourself, learning how to share your story with maybe a civilian songwriter, but then you figure out who the songwriters are and their connection to the mission, and you're like, man, it's all beautiful, it's all connected. But we've had, she was at '06 that came through the
Lace, can you check
program.
and see if you're muted? I'm getting in the chat. We don't hear a thing.
Okay,
Are
so
you
no, no, that was me. I have renovation noise.
okay?
I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries. All right. Go ahead. Let's
This,
start about it.
yeah, no, to close that out, just to kind of get into that, there's so many things that you may be interested in or want to try out. It's not just one thing. We can have a couple things, right? One of my friends, she came through the program, 20 plus year veteran, '06, got up to vice wing commander in her career. She's writing a book now and she is
Mhm.
writing music now. And it was something beautiful and creative that was inside of her that never got to come out. And if you think about it, that makes sense because
Yeah.
we live out the values and the beliefs of our parents when we're young. Then you go to college or you go directly in the military or you have this next experience where they teach you core values. They teach you who you should be. And if you just use those transferable skills into the next chapter, you can wake up at 35 years old, burn out, 40 years old, burnout because you put the whole ladder against the wrong wall and you climbed it so well. You're a PhD, you got a Juris Doctorate, you're at the top, but you're against the wrong wall.
Yeah.
And just because on paper, just because everyone's giving you all these accolades, deep inside you're empty because you know you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So this is where we put the ladder against the correct wall. We look at your identity, who you are,
Mhm.
what you love, what you believe, and then we start climbing that new ladder. And then it becomes a beautiful journey because the climb, it's not getting to the top anymore. It's the climb because you're doing what you
Yes.
love with those
Mhm.
that you love. And it's just you're surrounded by a joy that supersedes happiness because you're in your purpose, you're in your passion. It's all aligned. And I think a lot of people are living a life that's not aligned. And for those that have been out 5, 7+ years that are not aligned, where are we just going to get you in alignment?
Now, brother, I love how you use the word beautiful because that's my thing. We're working on a new year, new you, and that's the beauty of life. I went to Camp Southern Ground like right after my parents passed, and it was
Yes, sir.
like, you know, I didn't go there, and I've been through a lot of different programs, but this one I met my brother over the phone. It was weird because I'm talking to Lacy directly, and it was like, hey man, a lot of different programs are out there, and I always say we have people who have jobs and people who do their jobs. Some of us do our jobs with passion, with purpose, and so forth, and then there's some people who again, you can tell, right? So what I got from Lace was right after my parents passed, I found my other brother. Go figure, Air Force, we talk about Myrtle Beach and motorcycles and stuff like that. Like, hey, this is my brother. Like, but in learning about Gallup strengths, because you mentioned that a lot in the climb. Talk to us a little bit about Gallup strengths, because when you hit Brandon's, I was like, a lot of people like, dude, you're phenomenal. I know my top 10 strengths, right? I'm a relator, I'm an achiever, I'm a learner, I'm strategic, input, competition. I'm an idea. I got great ideas. I win others over easily. Communication and activator.
Come
That's
on.
me, right? Those are the top 10 strengths that make Jeremy Walker who he is. That I'm spiritual, so that's my God design, right?
Okay.
Most of us in the veteran space, we don't focus on the positive. We always, it's accomplishing a mission, feeling it for a second, and then we beat ourselves up on being better and better and better and better. So talk to me about, that experience with you, because again, he met the Meg and helped me, redefine a lot of my thinking, my negative thoughts. And a lot of us in this time and space, unfortunately, it's the suicide, time of the year, high suicide time between the end of the year and Valentine's Day for veterans. So another reason I want you to come on with that was just, talk us a little bit about it and share that experience.
Absolutely. So, first of all, Jeremy, I'm really admiring you for knowing your top 10 strengths. I'm
Beast
admiring
mode.
you for that. I don't want to just dismiss and jump over that. And you said you're a faith guy. And if you remember, those strengths are also called talents or gifts. And, according to, and I know your faith, your gifts will make room for you in this world, but
Yes.
only if you use those gifts. And the fact that you know your top 10 and you double down on those are going to overshadow all of the weaknesses. And plus, you surround yourself with a great team to have your blind spots. And I think that's how you show up in this space. And we're grateful for that, man. So thank you for knowing your strengths, living those out. And I see it making space for you. And it's only going to result in a deeper impact for you and those that you love. So I appreciate that. The reason we chose Clifton Strengths and to run that assessment is because it's about 200 questions. It's Gallup, so they have like this amazing data. And if you're looking for something that goes beyond rank, beyond a flight suit, a special operating kit, whatever you want to call it, like you have to have something on the inside that goes beyond all that in transition. And this assessment goes beyond all that and captures your top 10 strengths. Now, your top 10, we go through all 34, but focusing on those top 10 throughout this program
Mm-hmm.
allows you to fall in love with yourself and also give language to what you've loved by yourself or what showed up in your life. And it gives you permission to focus on what you do well in your life more than trying to, fix something that's wrong. That's just a waste of time. This allows you to double down on what's right. So that's what we do. The first 2 days at Warrior Week, those 2 mornings, we got an amazing instructor and facilitator, Dr. Jen Selke. She's been She's been teaching strengths for years and years. She's actually taught every single cohort since 2018. So she's got her
Wow.
reps and sets in. She does amazing job of giving examples through her and her husband, and just puts this beautiful picture out there. Now she has a military spouse, Air Force, once again, leading the way, and because of that, this allows her to connect on these
I'm joking off of that
strengths.
one. Yeah.
They also learn their blind spots. They learn how to leverage these so that they're more engaged at work, but also in their personal lives. Now, in the afternoons, I'm running the activations, which is like an exercise leadership reaction course in the military. I'm time compressing people, I'm confusing them,
Hmm.
I'm taking away their ability to speak, and all you see is these surfacing behaviors coming up. And it's not
Yeah.
like stress, it's pressure. Stress is not knowing what to do, and then it's just kind of like to your detriment. This pressure forces you to make decisions based off how you're
Hmm.
built, based off your strengths. And if you're not good at it, then we learn something. This is not in your strength zone. This exercise was to prove that you need to borrow Jeremy's strengths in this area. That's why that's a strength. So it teaches you how to build teams. It teaches you,
Yeah.
where do you want to not just learn them and name them, but to claim it and aim it towards something to make a difference in the world. So these exercises allows you, and I'm the lead facilitator on these, so I'm watching everyone, and I love how people start to realize their blind spots. Some of these exercises that, they're so profound that people are sitting there dumbfounded. And then even a 24-year-old colonel or a 24-year colonel from the Air Force, he said, Lacey, I spent my entire life in the Air Force being an
Yeah.
introvert, not speaking at the table, and just feeling like I was a worthless leader. This points out and allows me to understand like this is my strengths. If I would have known this as a young lieutenant, I could have had such a larger impact. And more importantly, I didn't know who I was because I thought the Air Force was telling me to be this, but I was really this. I'm more effective as a leader when I use these strengths. And so it's a
Hmm.
beautiful thing. Now, the next piece, we use strengths throughout the whole thing, but we do a few new things now. One, we do this values exercise where I compress your values. And I do it in a way where you have to decide like what kind of life do you want to live? What values are you going to live your life by? And also which ones are you not going to? And when we smash values with those strengths and we put it in a way to make sure you know what you believe about yourself, believe about the world, your perspective, we
Hmm.
reframe your life post service. And then, of course, we put it into buckets. This is your 6 areas of well-being, and this is your life. Number one, career and purpose. All right. So we already talked about that a little bit. Number two, your social well-being, which is your 3 to 5 people closest to you. The beautiful thing is, if they don't have three, they don't have one, they're in a room with 19 other people that's going to
19
choose
other
them
people.
that are raising it. Yes, you do. They say, yes, you do. I'm right here. Right.
Yes.
Uh, and so sometimes people's circles get a little bit bigger, but they leave with 3 to 5 people that they can count on. Community well-being is, yes, it's the air that you breathe. You feel safe, but we learn how to build community well-being to be able to give back to our community. And Jeremy, I use your example of moving in the neighborhood and people are like, who's this big dude coming in the neighborhood and all that? And a couple months later, you got kids coming over playing basketball
Yeah.
because your heart, they saw a perception of who's this big dude coming in looking mad until they start to see that big smile of yours and how you love kids and you bring them in, building community. And we forget to
Hmm.
do that. We don't even let our neighbors in. When someone knocks on our doors these days, we're like, who's this? Drop the food and leave. We don't welcome people in anymore, right? We drive by neighbors' houses. We don't know who they are, and they got packages stacked up. We don't say, "Hey, man, can I get your mail for you?" Because we're not like that anymore, and we have to build it because it's missing, because it's in your heart. It's in your heart because in the military it was natural to do that and it's
Yeah.
missing. So we teach how to make sure we build those things out. Physical well-being, everything that you eat, everything that you do, we're making that a little bit more robust this year. We absolutely love what we're doing there. Financial well-being, we still got Brian coming in. You're gonna get financial services for life. He's going to
Hmm.
invest in you and your family, which is an amazing opportunity. We also do an extra hour on that to kind of Brian does a mastermind, but for that first hour, we're walking through every piece of financial well-being and what that looks like in your life, from debt consolidation, basic budget, or to working your will and your estate planning. And then last but not least, emotional well-being. I will say this, Warrior Week is not a retreat. It is no cost, but it takes investment from you. You have to commit
Yeah.
to the commitment to make a difference to yourself first coming to the program. So it's no cost, but it does take an investment. Number two is not a retreat. It's an absolute attack on your purpose. to not let another day go by without you having a moment in that day where you're making an impact. And this is how we unpack that in a way that you're going to live a meaningful life. And we use these buckets. Now, the last part of emotional well-being is to expand your vocabulary, to give you some
Mhm.
regulation techniques with some breathing and all that tactical stuff, to take a tactical pause and breathe through situations, to include Atlanta traffic or something at home or at work. We want to make sure we equip you and tool you with that. But the biggest part of expanding the vocabulary and all the breathing and all that is to let people know that there's more to life than happy, mad, sad. That two things can be true. You can be full of sorrow and
Mhm.
sadness and full of love at the same time,
Yeah.
saying goodbye to a loved one, right? You can be completely mad at somebody at work and love them and still listen and still give instruction. We can do this if we can manage our emotions, if we can adjust dials, not just go full switch, full on, full off, cold, I'm not talking to you anymore, on, accountability, at the end of the day, can we have these dials that we can adjust, to show up the way that we want to show up with our emotions regulated. And that gives permission for others to show up the same. And if we can do that, I mean, I think it's a beautiful world out there. So all those areas of well-being, we teach, train, mentor, and then we activate in a way where people get to choose how they want to live their life. And they make a commitment to do that for 90 days. We're going to do a business panel. We're going to introduce you to amazing people that can leverage
Mhm.
your business or whatever it is. We have all kinds of amazing people come on our panels all the
Where,
time.
where if you're looking for a job, a lot of us are coming through, and that's one of the things what I wanted you to hit on too was a lot of veterans are suffering with that transition piece, like you're saying. I don't love myself. I don't have this identity. I'm First Sergeant Walker, and I'm supposed to go in here and do this. No, you can't do that. So the panel that Lacy brings on, they give us the real. I'm not even gonna lie. I was impressed. Like there were some people who were veterans, and there were people who weren't veterans that really told us the truth about, hey, some of you guys come in here with your chest pumped out, and I'm supposed to do this. And then some of you come in and you underestimate how powerful you really are. And they were direct hiring managers or business owners saying, we look for you, but then you haven't done the work for yourself. Blaze hit on that for a little while, man. That was, oh my God, that was so powerful.
Yeah, you nailed it. And we bring in people, whether they own five Zaxby's and they were a veteran, and they talk about how the transferable skills of leading a lot of people and leading young people. When he went to Zaxby's, he's like, number one, I don't know how to make chicken. Number two, like, I just don't know the space. And he was asked the question, well, can you lead small teams? Do you like developing and leading, groups of young people and influencing them in their lives? You're like, yeah, of course. I love that. And then they were like, well, we can teach you the chicken. We can
Right.
teach you all that. We can teach you wings and things. But leading the people. And now Curtis, now he's an amazing human, but he's changing lives. That is just his area.
Mhm.
And you can learn that leadership is your thing. The Army refined it and Zaxby's can utilize it. But it's really just influencing people. And if we can figure out how you want to make your impact, define your influence, the income is going to flow along. And then you have some civilians that are in there and they're so humble. They're like, thank you for your
Mhm.
service, thank you for this and that. And then they talk about what they did, and we're just blown away. Like, you did what? You created all these things, man, that's amazing. And they're so humble. So
Yes.
like Shark is saying, you have civilians, you have veterans that are in there to truly bless, impact, share the stories, breadcrumbs, or shake a hand. I remember last January, I think it was just before you showed up, Shark, Nick. I met him at Vetlanta, and he's like, man, I need a job. Showed up in January, shook a hand, and he had an interview. We set him up, and while he was with us, we set him up to make sure he had a really good interview and prepped him to use his strengths with the interview. But even more impressive was he shook a hand and got a card from some of the panel that I think ended up getting him the job, got him the interview to get the job.
Yeah.
Um, and I know you and I have mutual friends that, they called former military members from on the panel to get a job.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
so I love that it's career readiness, but it's also purpose. And I'll share a quick story. Lisa from Lisa's Creperies, Lisa's
Hmm.
Creperie, final answer. She's from the local area. She showed up. She was so humble. She was so nice. She was sweet. And she was just telling her story about she made crepes when she was in the Navy as a mechanic, and everyone loved it. And she was raised in France. And it's like She couldn't find the right crepe in America, so she created it, and she was just starting out. And fast forward, now she's got a brick and mortar, she's got a food truck, and she's thriving. But now everyone in that room, they connected with her in a special way, and she's an entrepreneur. And I know you guys do so much in the entrepreneur realm.
Entrepreneur
And
space,
Lisa,
yes, sir.
and Lisa, just inspired everyone to find their own crepe, find the own your thing that you want to solve. And veterans, as we get older, we get really good at critiquing everything, right? We can critique anything. Like that should be better, that should be better, because you're built to solve problems with minimum resources. And if you can do that, you can be like Lisa and go out and create amazing businesses that serve, lead, and impact, your community. So that panel, like you just said, Jeremy, man, yeah, it's an amazing opportunity to connect folks to it.
Now, going back to that, because you hit it on the head with the entrepreneur space. I've been, like I said, we've been through a bunch of different programs, and coming out of CSG, we talked about Helmets to Boots. We actually talked about my purpose and different things, and it turned the dial up. I was sitting here wondering, is this the right thing to do? Being a service officer, I'm getting tired with the Legions and the VFWs, and a lot of times it was just like, okay, and learning my Gallup strengths, I like helping people, but then when we learn the strength, we learn what the weakness of having that
Mm,
strength is. Like, okay, I got a superpower,
yeah.
but having the superpower causes me to lose a lot of time or not have self-care. Speak on that, because I really learned a lot about that. I was like, I can't be in four places at one time, and if I keep pouring out of my cup, I
Hmm.
can't I can't take care of myself first and foremost, and then not pouring out of my cup, I can't be there for others as effective as I want to be.
Mm. Yeah, especially when you're the shark and you're using
Yeah.
those strengths to the full and attacking those blind spots, they'll burn you out, right?
Yeah.
So I'll use a good example of my own and my top strength, which it's embarrassingly beautiful. And I've had to hire people on my team to offset my strength, which has a huge blind spot. So my number one strength is focus. I can lock in, I can dial in, I'm gonna see it through. I'm gonna be with high belief and all these other strengths in my top 10, responsibility, discipline. I'm locked in to the point where it's probably rigid and I see tasks and I can knock them out. The where we schedule, the objectives, keeping everything on track. Hey, that's my world. But one of my pastors, PJ, he looked at me and goes, Lacey, you're exceptionally focused, which I mean, he was speaking that over me. And that is my number one strength, focus. But when
Hmm.
you walk in a room and all you see is tasks and focus, you don't see people. And he said, Lacey, you need to understand this. He said, you need to understand that the greatest task that you'll ever have in this world is people. And so that's my blind spot is I can get so locked in and focused, trying to stay on time or see something through, just really locked in that I may miss people. I may miss the beauty in life. So I married
Hmm.
someone that has spontaneity that drives me crazy, but she allows me to see my life in color and not just black and white. She creates vacations, or I would just lock in and take all the fun out of it. So I married someone that helps me with that. And at Camp Southern Ground, I have my number two, Brandon. His number one is relator. He connects with
Hmm.
everybody. He'll make sure that I'm seeing everything. He has empathy and all these strengths that he's like, Lacey, don't forget about this. And he does it in a way that doesn't diminish my spirit of locked in. Like we run side by
Yeah.
side running this race. And oh, by the way, Lee, number one restoration, but he has Woo winning others over. And he's our
Yeah.
recruiting guy. He's always joking and laughing. And I can't do that unless everything's done. I'm locked in. But he forces me to smile and enjoy the work. Now, let me tell you something. Everyone has strengths. Everyone has blind spots. But you need to build a team, build your family, right? We teach people. We had two or three people had their spouses, their partners at home download and buy their strengths at home and talked about them at
Yeah.
night during Warrior Week. And they were like, that's why she's that way. I thought she was always mad at me, this and that, but her empathy is number one. She feels everything that I do. And I need
Hmm.
to treat her a little bit better when I get home because all his strengths was
Yeah.
executing strengths. And he was also lieutenant colonel forever, like running and sending troops and doing things where you can't do that, at home, at least for long. And so there's a beautiful thing when you understand what you're gifted at and the blind spots that you
Hmm.
have, and you can build an environment that builds it all together. So that's my
And
hope for people coming through Warrior Week.
I'm proud of you for taking a vacation not too long ago. Like, man, this. I got to throw it in there, man. I'm still going to be your battle, man. I need you to keep, like we talked about, being
Well,
intentional. That's part of your
and we
task,
got to
right?
exist as example. You know, some of the
Yeah.
new goals for this year
Mhm.
is my team is like get me out of the office at 4:30 so I can be at dinner at 5 p.m. every day. I'm coming in at 9:30 versus, you know, because I'm up at 5 and I usually work for an hour and a half and then
Mhm.
all that where like I'm guarding my schedule out of love and they need to do
Mhm.
that for me and then I
Yeah.
do the thing for them too. And it's great to be high speed and all in and getting after things, but don't miss the beauty, don't miss your life, don't miss the fun things. And we're planning another vacation right now, hopefully in February, so I can
Yeah.
get out there and do those things. And it feels awkward. It's me in the yellow, not in the green comfortable zone. It's yellow. But when I look back, at the end of the year, I'm always grateful for the things that my wife has got me to do to enjoy my life and not just, it looks like serving others and all that, but maybe I'm running from some things where I don't allow myself to enjoy things as much as I should. And
Are
our
you
life is
learning
the
from
quality of our,
others now?
look, it took a lot of heavy hitting over the head for me, but I'm starting to get that. And, you know, the quality of our life is the quality of our emotions. And if I can't slow down from trying to change all these things for everybody else, if I can't slow down and enjoy this thing, you know, that might be a regret when I get older as I look at my family, you know. So
Mm.
and that's our hope is for people to really find their true identity, to live that chapter out with a full heart, full of impact and full of joy and it's hard for veterans to find that because it's ingrained in them to serve and help everybody else, but they don't want to help themselves. And it feels selfish to have fun with your family at times because you're so used to being
Say that
gone and
again.
doing those things.
Say that again. Say that again. Go
I
ahead.
said
It
as
feels right.
I said I think as veterans we're really good at helping everyone else, but we're not really good at helping ourselves. We like
You
for
said it.
everyone else to enjoy their life and sacrifice for them, but we're not willing to enjoy our own lives a lot of times. And so it's good to teach that. It's good to live that. And it's good to be in a community where we're all at risk of that and we're working together to remind each other because no one's perfect, no one's arrived, but we're in it together.
You
Absolutely.
said it feels selfish. That's one of the key things I learned from being there is that we pour so much being servant leaders and being built to take care of others that it feels selfish to take care of yourself and to pause and to be in the moment. And I was just like, um, it was a beautiful weirdness because I was like, you kept saying that, man, it's okay to feel this. And I was sitting here worrying about what's going on at the house. And all of a sudden he was like, no, I need you to be here, Jay. I need you to be here with me, Meg. I need you to do this. And I was
Yeah.
like, but I feel selfish. And he was like, it's okay to feel selfish. I hold that every day, man, when I wake up and be like, Lace told me it's okay to be selfish.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you, brother, because that's, it changed my life. And so the reason I wanted to bring you on is because I can say this all day. And me and Tiffany had some cool conversations about, how the direction of the program is going to go and what we want to do with this. But ultimately, we're looking at how do we want to impact the veteran space. But a lot of this sometimes when talking to her, she reminds me like, hey, you know what? I'm learning a lot. And I was like, I went through this program and I had to learn it first. And now I'm able to implement that and bring this connection, again, the connector, part of my strength is bring out other people so they can hear it from a different aspect. The way you delivered it just now initially hit me and I was crying. Remember that day I was crying? I was like, man, this is crazy. I don't believe it. I'm crying because I feel selfish, like I'm doing something for me. And I'm a dad, I'm a grandfather, I'm a, soon to be husband and all that other stuff at the time. And here it goes. I was like, I didn't even feel comfortable with myself. So across the board, especially I talk about suicides a lot. I think that's one of the root cause analysis that we have is that maybe you go get that job because you want to take care of the family. And maybe you turn around and you don't like where you're at, but it's a lot of money behind it or whatever case, or you move or you do whatever it is. One of the things that you guys focus on is looking at yourself. Those top 10 strengths. I don't even know them really. Most of us don't because we're so focused on taking care of everybody else that to sit down for those 4 days initially and then go in the warrior path and be like, hey, you know what? I don't like going to basketball games or whatever the case is because the arena's too big. I'm comfortable with just staying home. No, to be able to address that and say, no, why don't you want to do that? How about let's try to change that because you're losing a different quality of life. we have to take that time to be selfish to address those things. Because if not, what you do is you sit in the comfort of discomfort. And
Mm.
then we need like your organization to help us to see that when we've never had that. So
Yeah.
I really want to thank you on that one, brother, because man, yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like my
Come
takeaway today,
on,
this is
come
my
on,
first time hearing the 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 fabulous Mr. Lacy here. I'm about to call you a MC GGGG because you have a very great way with words, Lacy. And my takeaway from everything that you just said is, one, I need to sign up for Camp Southern Ground. I would love to bring my 21-year combat veteran husband with me because it seems like we both need to go learn our yin to the yang, like you and Kaylee kind of have your yin to the yang. You're this guy, she's that lady, and it works. And it cuts down on the chaos and confusion in your marriage, I'm sure. And the next thing I will say is I had my weekly or my monthly conversation with my VA provided psychiatrist lady. And the main takeaway that she says is to stay present. And Jeremy, if I'm not sure, I think that's what you just said, was being present. And
Mhm.
see, it seems like everything you just said can be wrapped up in saying, be present for yourself.
Yes.
And when you're present for yourself, you can be present for others. And that's super crucial in entrepreneurship. If you don't show up, you're not going to get anything. If you're in your family, if you're not present with your family, there's going to be some consequences and repercussions, isn't it?
Hmm.
So I thank you both for highlighting Camp Southern Ground today. And Lacy, I wish you many, many more years of being a wonderful guest speaker there and a program director. And thank you so much for the well-beingness of it all. I appreciate all of your lovely quotes and the woos and the claimants and aim it. I'm taking all of that with me. So thank you.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. You know, since Jeremy came through, we talked about like the selfish piece. And if I can reframe that is it selfish for you to do the work or take the time you need to show up at your absolute best for your family? It doesn't
Mhm.
become selfless at that point. It becomes a commitment because you want to show up at your best. And we need tools as veterans. I need training. I have a 3-year-old. I get trained and I read and I learn and I get coached on how to show up, get low, get big, get into space. Because I don't know how to do a lot of these things. But to grow and to learn how to show
Mhm.
up takes me not being selfish, but committed to doing the work to show up at my best. And if we're committed to showing up at our best, we need our strengths. We need to take care of ourselves. Every facet of well-being, every element. And yes, be regulated. And yes, show up the way that we want to show up, which is full of love and support for those that we love. Mindfulness means being in that moment, showing up at your best, which takes you doing the work, not being fearful or anxious about the future or guilt driven or shameful of the past, but in this moment, which is ours to own. And
Mhm.
my wife is a certified strengths coach now. So it makes things great and
Okay.
horrible at home because she's going to call me out. We're going to work on strengths. It's beautiful together. And if we're watching The Sword and the Stone with Merlin and like that old school Disney movie, my wife is beautiful at saying, look at Merlin's futuristic. Look at his strategic strengths coming out, teaching little Wart as he's becoming King Arthur. And so the more we become aware of these things, the more we become aware of our time being used with talents and tr our treasures, the more deeper and meaningful life can be. So thank you guys for having me on.
We are.
Absolutely love working with strengths and getting this life plan with all these areas of well-being to serve our veteran community. And anyone out there listening, we'd love to have you. CampSouthernGround.org, Warrior Week.
Hey, thanks, Lace, and I put the website in the chat. Unfortunately, it's time for us to go.
Yep.
We got to wrap it up. We got like 3 minutes left. And Tiffany, I would love for you to. We're gonna end the segment with what you're doing, and then I'm gonna lead off with probably wrap it up with what I'm doing with helmets to boots because
Real
it's a lot.
real quick, 30 seconds or less. My next event coming up is right behind me. If you can kind of see the pizza party fundraiser that I'm sponsoring and presenting as a board member of the Feeding Georgia Families Board.
Mhm.
We're doing our volunteer appreciation this Sunday at, oh, did we lose? No. So this Sunday at Your Pie in Hayfield, All day long, Your Pie has dedicated 15% of all of their sales this Sunday to feeding Georgia families to help us get a new building here in the Metro Atlanta area. So come on out. All volunteers will be appreciated with some free pizza. You don't have to sit there and stay. I'll also set up my silent headphone company demonstration, and that's who the sponsor is. It's the headphone company, one of my companies, and we're gonna pay for everybody's pizza who we love. We'll do a little bit of a silent demonstration to show you how to do a silent event at your location. Maybe Camp Southern Ground could have that. And we'd love to come out and have a little bit of fun with that as well. So come out, get some free pizza and some gelato. They have gelato. So that's this Sunday. And moving forward, I'm just working with Feeding Georgia Families and just trying to help them get into a new building really soon. So thank you, Jeremy, for that.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. And so again, I'm probably going to do the same thing. One of the things that Tiffany and I talked about for the show, when you guys we had a great conversation today with Lace, talking about a new year, new you. All of our topics moving forward is going to be what's currently going on, and we see what's going on in the world, but just bringing the information that we need in the veteran space that's greatly going to impact us. So that's originally why I started Helmets to Boots, because I was trying to find a new me after retirement. And now here we are going to, year nine of being retired. And it's in that space where constantly working on myself, going through different programs is what led me to being here. So next month, we're going to focus on AI. That's the way of the future. We got a lot of veterans that are willing to pivot but don't know. So my thing is, we talked about exposure. Our whole everything that we've done in our life is based off of exposure, off of people, places, and things. So on this show, we're going to look at AI for everyone, using veterans to talk to veterans or family members on why it's important to learn it, not be scared of it, and then, see how it works for you, how it can change your life. Next show after that is entrepreneurship. Again, veteranpreneurship. A lot of times we're looking at money, and there's fears and different things of what's being taken away, but what can you add to that? What can we be prepared for? So sometimes having a full-time job, you may need a side hustle or whatever the case is. And that side hustle can be there until it becomes your full-time job. And like Lay said earlier, your passion, definitely a lot of times if you move in your purpose, God's purpose, a lot of times you don't have to worry about finances because you're moving in what he designed you to be. Next would be volunteerism. You and I are both members of the American Legion, the VFWs, and so forth. And that was a game changer for me because it gave me a place, it gave me a purpose once we get out of the military, and it gave me family. The biggest thing that we're losing now, because the veteran space is 3% of the United States, is that we're in a smaller community than we were on active duty, which was 7%. But we initially came from 90% of the people who never served. So when you look at that balance, you still want people that make you feel comfortable to use those acronyms and tell those war stories and not feel like you're judged. So volunteerism is going to be a beautiful thing. And then a nonprofit space. We're going to have some key speakers that are talking about their nonprofits and what drives them. A lot of times, like Lay said earlier, it's not about the money, it's about the passion. What gets you out to bed in the morning? When you take the uniform off, you take the bat suit off, a lot of times you feel like you lost your passion, and regardless of what you do, you can't never feel comfortable in it. And that's where a lot of these nonprofits come from. But there's difficulties behind it. There are certain realities that most of us don't know and think that good idea should be something that it possibly can't, or maybe it should be. All right. And so that covers what we're going to do with the show. And as far as me, helmets to boots, well, man, God is good. That's all I can say is I have 150 tickets that were given to me for veterans and their families. So contact me at Helmets to Boots. Every home game from here on out, the Skyhawks, which is our G League team, has promised to give 150 tickets to the veterans and their family members. All right. I just love doing that. And there's more if we need them or whatever the case is. But the goal is to create a veteran space or whatever the case is, because maybe you can't go to a Hawks game. The building is way bigger on the side than it is on the Skyhawks. The guy that runs the program, his dad's a retired sergeant major, so he understands, because he said my dad never could go to a game. He has season tickets that he never uses. I just think it's beautiful how a lot of our hearts and minds are lining up. Next week, I'll be teaching the Boost to Business or helping with the Boost to Business course. Anybody that wants to learn to be a veteranpreneur, the Vector Center has it. So one of my goals is to try to teach as much as I can. You're going to hear the story of the Wolverine and how I transitioned out the military and started doing 2 businesses with Homeless to Boots because that was my new space, but I had to learn the business side of it. On the 20th, we're doing a veterans lunch at the Golden Corral in Marietta. Come out. You'll hear about insurance. You'll hear about benefits and some of the changes. We also have the landing at 6, starting on the 29th of this month. Every Thursday from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock p.m., we do a networking mixer at the Kempton Hotel. All of this stuff will be posted on my website or follow me on my social media platforms. But if you are starting a business or you are wanting to meet people, guess what? You're in one of the most beautiful places outside of Camp Southern Ground, because Lacy left that out. Camp Southern Ground is amazingly beautiful. And it is not what you think about the the old tents on the ground and all that other stuff. It is totally state of the art and amazing. So every Thursday you have an opportunity to network, grow your business, to meet people, whatever case is, in one of the most beautiful spots areas. And joining the Valdosta Chamber. So we're going to start working with the Air Force Base down there, getting more people involved in the community. We're doing the AI classes in Vetron, which is more speaking events, working with Clayton County library system and going down to Henry County and all the different. We focus a lot on the city of Atlanta, but we don't focus on the metro part or the outskirts. So that's where I'll be at. And then, Mr. Walker is today is my 1 week anniversary. I got married last Friday to one of the most beautiful people on the planet. She's been with me for 6 years of my life, helping me raise all our kids. We put everybody through college. She helped me bury my parents and still dealing with the aftermath of that, helped me start my businesses, helped me get into my degrees and so forth. So sometimes I'm going to write a book on it too. And sometimes you got to fail your way to success.
Baby, yes,
First
1,000
attempt in
rejections.
learning. Yeah, first attempt in learning. So yeah. And so that's where I'm at now, and be prepared, because every other day, as long as my phone rings and I pick it up, we're always going to create opportunities. So a lot of the viewers, I thank you guys, because again, you're in this network, but be prepared, because you're next. As in the mortal words of Goldberg, you're next. We're going to bring you out, and we're going to help our community through this organization. And as my brother liked to say it, I'm the Meg. So thank you guys for your time. And again, thank you for a great, amazing first show of the year of many. All right, you guys have a blessed one.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lacy.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate you, Tiffany. Thanks, Shark. Appreciate you.
Welcome, brother.